Hello everyone and welcome to another episode of Reddit Edit, where we edit people's Reddit questions. This one's been a bit long in the making because it's a rather difficult effect to make, or at least to make as a tutorial. So this is what the question was. Can we make this? It's an old retro style title reveal. It looks great. I love these. Huge fan. But it's got a lot of effects going in. And here's my first attempt. I thought it came out quite well. In the corner we've got the original so you can compare. I think that's pretty cool. Pretty close. So we're going to recreate it from scratch right here. So I'm going to go and go into my effects. I'm going to create a comp. Where did I put it? Where did I put it? I guess I didn't put it. Create a comp. Right here. I'm putting it on top of the original video. So I can bring it into... I can bring the original video into my comp to compare. I'm going to right click, open in Fusion. Alright, we've got our media out. I'm going to grab a background for now. Actually, I'm going to put it down here. And... no, yeah, let's put it up here. Got a background. We're going to put in a media in. And this media in is only going to be used for reference. So it's going to be everything that's below this Fusion comp, which is just a video. And there we go. We've got the video. So we can use that as a reference. This is great for when you need to try to time your animations and stuff to other things. And then when I'm done, I can just disable this and it won't appear. So the effect that we've got, first of all, is we've got these lines, these letters coming in as a line being drawn, but also it's extruded. It's in 3D space. So this line writing, where the text writes itself out, there's a couple of different ways we could do that. Unfortunately, because we want to extrude it and move it into 3D space, there's only one option, and that is the shape polygon. Because you can't extrude normal polygons, it just doesn't work. So we're going to start with manually creating these letters. So I'm going to find a spot where we've got the outline of them. This is really good. And we're going to trace them. So I'm going to come in here and set a shape poly. And I'm going to just give myself a bit more space to work. I'm going to rename this S poly V. And I'm just going to go inside. No, I'm going to follow the actual line. Like this. And let's close it up. Perfect. Now, it looks stupid, obviously, because we don't have curves. So we're going to grab down here. I'm going to control and grab this anchor. And then just move it around. Same here. Control. And then just readjust this one a little bit. Pretty close. Move that in a bit. There we go. Another way of doing it is I could put a new pin in the middle, put it here, and then smooth it out, and that gets us pretty close, pretty quick. Like that. And we've done our V. Excellent. What did that do though? Well, it gave us this shape. We want lines eventually and shapes, but we'll be able to reuse these S-polys and create shapes and solids. So this is a really good workflow. Let's do the E now. So I'm gonna grab another S-poly. S-poly E. right here. I'm going to start, let's get rid of that. Oh, nope, that's not what I wanted. Over here, there you go. Let's make the E like this. Boom, boom, boonk, boonk, boonk. Now, this is a big circle, so I'm going to make, let's say, yeah, 2 over here, for example. That should be good enough. And let's close up that shape. We've got our ugly E. I'm going to grab these 2, and I'm going to smooth out the curve. It's already pretty close. And grab this, move it down here, grab that one, and then smooth that back out. Just a couple of adjustments, and we'll have the shape that we want. Let's grab this, like that. Grab this, bring it in. Then we're going to grab these 2 and smooth them out again. Maybe I'll get rid of this one and move this one in the middle. Right there. Smooth that out. Yeah, that will work better. And just do this. There we go. That's looking pretty good. And let's do these now. And there we go. We've got our E. Now, the next one is R and N. Okay, now we've got the inside of the R here that we need to do. So we're going to add another S-poly. And we're just going to do the inside here like that real quick. Boom. Smooth that one out. We've got the inside. We're going to rename it. That's 2 S-poly RN in. Another S-poly, we're gonna do the apostrophe, so S-poly apos. I think that's good. What does that look like? That's looking pretty good. And then let's do the S. Let's get started. The S is a bit of an annoyance because it's literally all curves. Let's see what that looks like without all that glow and stuff. I think that's looking pretty good. Alright, so we've got our letters. Next thing we need to do is we need to merge them together. So what we're going to do is we're going to use a S-merge, which is a shape merge. The shape merge is like the multi-merge. You can drop a bunch of things on it, and it merges them all into one. So now we've got this. I'm somewhat confused. What's my RN? Why is it inverted? If I disconnect this, what's going to happen? Huh, that's strange. I don't know why it's doing that. Huh. It's automatically removing the center part. Okay. Learn something new every day. So now we've got our word. But the problem is, we need it as a word, like as a solid, but we also need it as an outline. So what we're going to do is we're going to pull out of this And we're going to go and create a shape outline. Yes, shape outline. And as I feed this to the shape outline, it's going to create an outline out of all these elements, which is awesome. And now I can reduce the thickness a little bit. And it does it to all of them. And you'll notice that there's length. And now you're probably thinking, well, it's going to create like an outline. Like, how is it managing the length? Well, it's managing the length on every individual poly. So as I do length, you see it's drawing itself out. And it's doing it for all of them at once. I don't have to do it individually for all of them, which is kind of awesome. I'm just going to bring this down. I want to see where they're starting. This R, I want it to end like right here. Like that. And the reason I'm doing it like that is because that's how it happens in this original. So if we take a look at the beginning, you'll notice that the R finishes writing like here. So I just adjusted the position for that for all of them, but really the one that we'll be focusing on is the R anyways. The other ones aren't as important in terms of the line being drawn. We also need it though as a solid. Well, we have it as a solid. It's right here. Now we'll be able to pull out of this and use it to create like this texture. Okay. So the first thing we're going to do is we're going to make the beginning of it. This part where the extruded lines are flying in space and we can, you know, as they overlap with each other, they get brighter and all that. And we do that by putting this into a extrude node. And the extrude node is a 3D node because we're adding depth by extruding, right? So that's what we're going to do. And now that's going to create a 3D environment. I'm going to get in close. It's still flat though. It's not extruded. It's like 1 pixel thick. So what we are going to do is we're going to go to the extrude and just add some depth. And look at that. We now have depth. That's crazy. It doesn't look right though, because it's bright white and we can't see through the individual letters. So we're going to add a material replace, or replace material 3D. And we're going to use that to change the material of this mesh, because now those letters are actually 3D meshes. And we're going to change their material. We're going to go to material. We're going to choose a nice blue like this. Oh, or maybe if I looked at it. And then we're going to reduce the alpha. And look at that. We can now see through. And as we see through, the overlap are making it brighter. Like that. Excellent. Excellent. All right. So we've got the first part. Next part. Well, it's moving in 3D space, right? It's moving back. I'm just going to right click here and scale to fit. It's moving back in space and rotating. So for that, we're going to need a 3D camera. So I'm going to add, after this, I'm going to add a merge 3D. So that I can merge 3D right up here. So that we can merge a camera onto it. Like that. And now if we look at this, we have a camera with the text. Excellent. But to be able to use any of this, oh, I did something horrible there. To be able to use any of this, we're going to need to render it as a 2D image. Let's take a look at that 2D image. We see nothing. Why? Because the camera is literally inside the text, and really it's looking just past it. So let's move the camera until we get the final position. So I'm going to go right about here. Now, it keeps moving a little bit backwards throughout time. I don't think I'll do that. Or maybe I will. Who knows? So now I'm going to back up my camera until we match. And to see this, what I'm going to do is I'm going to put that 3D mesh on top of the video footage from the original that we're, you know, not copying, but emulating. And as I grab my camera here, I can pull it back, and now we'll be able to align it. So that looks about right. Yep, that looks right. About the right position. Perfect. Now I'm just going to turn off this merge. We only see our text. It's not moving though. Well, because we haven't keyframed the motion. Now we could keyframe the motion of the camera, but I find it easier to keyframe the motion of the text. So what we're going to do is we're going to come here to our extrude. We could move it using the extrude, but I'm just going to add a 3D transform 3D. And I'm going to use that to move it around just like we would a normal transform. Just going to move things around a bit, trying to keep things tidy. Like that. Okay. So I've got my transform. Oh, I should put my transform after the replace material. It doesn't matter, I don't think, but let's do it. So I've got our 3D transform. This is the position we want. This is the position and rotation we want it in at the end position. I'm just going to set translation keyframes here. Transform 3D. And then let's take a look at that video again. So let's re-enable that. Let's go back to our transform. And let's take a look at the video. It twists and then it stops twisting right about here. So right here, yeah, it's no longer turning here. Right there, that's the last one. So I'm going to set keyframes on rotation. I want it to be perfectly circular at that point. Not circular, but perfectly aligned at that point. Everything at 0. And now I'm going to go back to the beginning. I'm going to go and move this past the camera. And I'm going to set some keyframes on... Oh, I set the keyframes in the wrong position. That's why. Let's remove these. Okay, so that's right, and that's right. Okay, perfect. So now, when we get to this position, it needs to be perfectly circular, but why is it not? Alright, because I didn't do this. Let's move this back. And now let's take a look. It moves backwards, it gets into position. Perfect, excellent. We need it to twist, so at the beginning I'm just gonna twist it around like this. I think that's right. Yep, that was the right type of twist. So it takes a little longer to get to position. So we're going to go back to our keyframes and we're going to go to transform and XYZ offset. So what we're going to do is scale to fit. We're going to grab these 3 keyframes and we're just going to move them to about here. Let's take a look and see what that looks like. Nah, that's better. It's not perfectly aligned because the actual original image like shifts around a little bit. I'm not going to bother with that. This is already going to be a very long tutorial. So we got our first portion, and as you can see, it as we overlap, we get the brighter areas. Now the problem that we have is that once it's in position, it transitions from being 3D to 2D. So as it gets here, when we get this flash, we're going to replace this 3D with 2D. Or should we just change a D? No, that's what we're going to do. We're going to grab the extrude and we're going to reduce it. So as it gets here, boom, right there. Right there, I'm going to set a keyframe on extrusion depth. And then right here, I'm going to reduce the depth to nothing, which should give us just the outline. Perfect. That is perfect. Now, I don't need to see the video underneath because it's not perfectly aligned, because it kept, as the animation keeps going, it keeps moving backwards a little bit, and then eventually will be perfectly aligned. But I don't need to see the video in the back. If I need it, I can put it up here for comparison. And I'm just gonna unmerge it. There you go. So what do we got? So we get here, and then it suddenly loses its 3D depth, and we keep the we just keep like the outline. Perfect. If I go back to my extrude, or my outline, yeah, it's a little small. Let's bring that up a little bit. Actually, let's go back to our extrude. We're going to put a keyframe on outline here. And I'm just, as it gets here, I'm just going to increase the outline a little bit. And there we go. Okay, so next bit. We want this to glow a little bit. You'll notice the lines are a bit more glowy and soft. So we're going to come here after our render 3D, and we're going to add a soft glow. And that's looking great. That's already looking really good. The next bit is when we get here, you'll notice that it fills in with yellow. So let's grab our S-merge, and what we're going to do is we're going to put it into an S-render. S-render. And that does the same thing as the render 3D, because this basically is math. It's not pixels. So if I try to merge it on top of like a normal 2D scene, it's just not going to allow me. So we need to render it so that it becomes like a pixel layer. And you won't really notice a difference at all. But now I can actually merge it on top here, like that. Excellent. So now we've got this S render. We're going to send that into a background node as a mask. And we're going to change its color to a yellow. And now we can merge that in. So let's take a look and see what happens. We don't want it the whole time, right? So there's a couple of ways I could control this. I could control the merge, I could control the background. We'll see how we want it. But right now, I just want to try to time it. So if I go back to my media in, when we get here, right about here, it starts fading in. Well, there are a couple of ways I could do that. I could I guess the best way would be really with the merge. So at the merge here, what I'm going to do is I'm going to go over to my blend mode, and I'm going to set a keyframe of 0. And then as we get like this, it'll go full. And right here, I'm going to put another keyframe and then slowly fade it out. Like that. Let's see what that looks like. That's pretty good. We're going to do the blinding glare afterwards. Kind of our last steps. Now, when it fades out here, it gets replaced by this metallic texture. Right? We'll see it better here. So let's create that. We've got our S render right here, which is basically a shape. Not a shape, but like it's the letters. And so we can use that as a mask. I'm going to bring a background in, and I'm going to set it to a gradient. The gradient, I'm going to move around like this. We're going to run the S render into it as a mask for now. That's not actually how we're going to do it, but that'll be the start. And if I take a look at the video, so we've got white, blue, black, white, blue. So white down here. We're going to add another pin that's going to be a blue. I'm just going to grab it, for example, like right here. I created another pin because I'm going to need a blue around the top. I'm going to just delete that pin. So I need a blue up here. So now I've got white, blue. I need a dark black. So come over here and make a dark black. Then we need a white. And we need it really up close to the black at the top, because you'll see the line here is really solid, while down here it's a bit more faded. Perfect. There you go. And then we can bring the blue back down. Kind of like this. No, let's get rid of that. And we've got kind of the same pattern. Now you'll notice it's all squiggly and stuff. Well, what we can do is we can distort all of this. Now this gets a little complicated. I've done this a couple of times now, and I often mess it up as I try to do it. I'm just going to give myself a bit more room to play with. So this mask is just temporary. This is just to see like what it would look like a bit. What we need to do is we need to take this background. We're going to take this background, we're going to merge it on top here. And we're going to mask this all out further up. So it gets masked out at the merge. And this is what it looks like. Let's take a look. Which is pretty good. It's getting there. Let's go back to this. Now, the thing is this is all warped. So what we're going to do is we're going to run this background through a displace. And it doesn't do much. Like, even if I were to like put refraction, like nothing's happening. And that's because it needs a texture to warp to. So what we're going to do is we're going to use a fast noise as that texture. We're going to slap that in here. Bring that back here to see. And I'm going to start increasing Actually, let's start with this. I'm going to increase the refraction strength, and you can already tell it's doing something. So I've increased my refraction. Now we're going to come and play around with the fast noise to make it a little bit crazier. So let's increase the scale. And maybe the detail? No, not the detail. Contrast? That's looking pretty good already. Oh yeah, I'm liking that. And now if I want to give it some variation, I can come to Seethe and do this until I find something I like. It's pretty good. I'm going to come to my background and I'm just going to increase the white at the bottom a bit. There we go. I think that's looking pretty good. Let's change the seed rate on this again. Not rate, but the seed until we find something that matches now that I've moved things around. I think I kind of like this one. Yeah, let's use that. So we've got that effect. What does that look like with everything? It's looking pretty good. The outline isn't the right color anymore, so we'll have to change that because it's a much brighter blue. But that's that. So as we come here, you'll notice it turns yellow and then fades to this, which is great. Problem is, this is constantly visible right from the beginning. We don't want that. We want it to be visible starting right about, let's say right about here. So I'm going to set its blend to 0, go forward 1 frame. Oh, let's go back 1 frame. Let's set that blend as a keyframe. And then here, blend it back in. Now it's not visible. And as the yellow comes in, we've got our actually, you know what? I'm going to come here. Let's go back to our previous keyframe on this merge. And we're going to remove that. I'm just going to go a couple of frames forward and make it fade in a bit, like right about here. See what that looks like. Okay, let's take another look at it. Yeah, it's looking pretty good. I just need to make the yellow fade out a little bit faster, a bit slower, I mean. So I'm going to go to my keyframes on my merge 3 and just grab this and make it fade out a couple of frames over a couple of extra frames. Let's take a look at that. Yeah, that's looking good to me. Okay, now, the outline. We've got a bit of a problem. It's not visible enough. It's not glowy, it's not visible. We've got to fix that. So let's fix that. We're going to come over here. And what are we going to do with that? Well, I could grab this outline. Let's take a look. So it comes in. Up till now, that's fine. It's right about here that it needs to come in as something else. So I'm going to grab this outline and I'm going to give it an S render. And I'm going to bring that, I'm going to merge that on top here. So now, if I take a look at this S render, it's just a white line that's going to be merged on top of the yellow. And I'm just going to time out the animation for this. So as it gets in here, let's take a look at the original. So when it gets to here, where everything gets blown out, this is where we're going to replace it. So I'm going to set the blend here to 0. I'm going to set the blend here to 1 with a keyframe. 0 with a keyframe. I'm going to go 1, 2. And I'm going to set blend to 1 and blend to 0. And that'll swap out those two lines. Now we've got a solid white line, not exactly what we want. We want to change its color. So we're going to run that into a background. We're going to choose a nice bright blue. Like that. And we're going to run that in here instead. And we're going to give it a soft glow. Let's go with a glow instead of a soft glow. And let's make that glow. Reduce the glow size a bit. Looks pretty good to me. And then what if we added a soft glow afterwards? That's a bit much. What if it was just a soft glow? Yeah, I think we were going to keep a soft glow instead. So soft glow. Increase the gain a bit. Reduce that glow size a little bit. And that looks pretty good. So we swap that out. Maybe a bit brighter. So if I went in here, yeah, I think that's good, and I think that glow is just a bit too much. And let's go back here and make it... I didn't choose the color correctly. Perfect, okay. And maybe this outline is a little bit too much. Kind of like that. Yeah. Okay, that's pretty good. Now the one problem is, you'll notice that we've got a bit of a separation between the line and the actual letters. So I'm going to grab this S render and I'm going to do something to it. What am I going to do? let's try running it into a matte control. I'm going to run this into the matte control. Let's take a look and see what it does. And I'm going to contract it just a little bit, which does nothing. I'm going to blur it and then contract it. There you go. What does that look like here? Oh, because I haven't run it through, so we're going to run that out to here and out to there. Reduce the blur a little bit. We need a little bit of blur, and then I should be able to adjust it with the gamma here, just to give it a little bit of separation. Yeah, that's looking great. Now, the letters are actually beveled here, and I don't know, maybe we'll try to do some beveling to it. Let's keep going. Next bit. I think this one needs to glow a little bit to give it a bit of more vibrance. So we're gonna, after this place, we're gonna add a, I don't know, a soft glow maybe? Oh, that is actually really good. Just reduce that gain a tiny little bit. Just a touch. Yeah, I'm liking that. Might come back in here though, into my background, and make this blue a little darker. I'll make this blue a little darker as well. And I can't make that black any darker, it's pure black. I think that's good. Right. It's looking a bit better. Now, if I bring this down a little bit. Yeah. That looks good. Okay. The next bit that we're going to do. You'll notice this kind of shimmers a bit. Actually, the lines draw themselves. But I'm not going to do that. What I'm going to do is I'm going to add a bit of a shimmer to it. And we're looking at this here, right? So what I'm going to do is I'm going to add a fast noise as a mask on that S render. And what that's going to do is it's going to mask out parts of the outline. So if I grab this S render and I bring it in here, I'm going to scale that up a bit. And I'm going to increase the detail and the contrast. And you'll notice it's now cutting out part of the letters. I'm just going to then take a look. That's looking pretty good. Can I increase the scale a little bit, or should I reduce it? Add a bit more contrast. Scale it up a bit more. And then increase the seed rate, which will make it change over time. Just a touch. So now, okay, that seed rate might be a little bit fast. Just a little bit of motion. Just like that. And that's looking pretty good. If we bring this back in, that's looking really solid. And now you'll notice that eventually the lines turn perfectly solid. So it shimmers, and then right here, right when we transition here, so what I'm going to do is I'm going to go right about here. I'm slowly going to bring back the contrast. So I'm going to put a keyframe here, and as we get to here, I'll reduce the contrast to nothing, which will bring the lines back to solid. And as we get here, it'll slowly fill back up. Excellent. And as we get here, let's do the next step. As we get here, our blue background, which I think is this one, right? Yeah. This blue background slowly disappears. So let's do that, since we're here. Right here is the last time it's full, and then next couple of frames, it vanishes entirely. Like that. Let's see what that looks like. We're almost done. So what do we have left to do? We've got 2 bright flashes to do. This one. We've got these yellow lines that pass over that we need to do. Another flash. And here we've got this directional blur. Also, the lines get way brighter and more glowy. So we'll have to take a look at that. And then we've got some light rays. Okay. So I think we're going to make these, starting here, we're going to make this way brighter. So I'm going to go over to my bright lines, which are these, right? Yeah. And we're going to make them glow way more. So starting right here, let's bring back our sample. I'm going to put a keyframe on gain. And right here is where everything is way more glowy. So we'll do that. I'm going to go back here. I'm going to put a keyframe on glow size. We're going to come here. I'm just going to increase the glow size a bit. Oh no, because it gets all... No, let's undo that. Let's go back. Because if I do that, it gets all blurry. And you see how they're nice and sharp. So I think it's going to be this streak that's going to make everything glow a bit more. Or maybe we add another glow. Yeah, let's add a glow after. So without, with. Yeah, there you go. That's what we need. So if I go back to my soft glow here, I'm going to come to my glow. I'm going to put my blend to nothing. And as we get here, I'm going to make that glow a bit brighter. like that. Now what does that look like? That's looking really good. Next, we need to add that directional blur. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to grab all of these and move them aside a bit more, give myself a bit more room. Okay, so where were we? We've got this, got a flash there, we've got the yellow bars that need to pass by, we've got another flash. Okay, let's go for the blur. Let's go for the directional blur. So we've got our glow here, and this is actually this line here. So we're going to reuse this. I'm going to pump that out, and I'm going to merge it back on top. Right here. Like that. And I'm going to add a directional blur. Can't remember which one it is. I think it's this one I want to use. Yes. So there's a difference between the two. There's two directional blurs. I want the stylized blur. Blur strength. Let's bring that in here. Look at that. Look at that. Maybe a little bit less. Yeah. So let's find out where we need this to start appearing. So right about here. So I'm going to put my directional blur. I'm going to take this merge. I'm going to put a keyframe on blend, put it 0. And right here, it'll go back to 1. And let's change the direction of the blur so it makes sense. Maybe reduce that a little bit. There we go. So we got that directional blur. I'm going to put a keyframe on the angle because it twists. And so it twists that way. We're also going to put a... No, we're going to use the blend instead. So as it twists this way, like that. And right about here, it stops existing. So let's see. I'm going to put another keyframe here and then keyframe it out so it slowly blends out. Like that. Let's see what that looks like. That looks pretty good. That looks really good to me. Now, we've got another thing that we need to do. We need light rays. So I'm going to grab all of this and just move it up a little bit. Like that. And we're going to grab another one of these and merge it back on top. Right there. I don't know what I just did. Let's try that again. Oh, I didn't grab a merge. There you go. Grab a merge. Put it in here. We're going to grab this glow. Slap it in there. Just going to put a dot so we can move it around a little bit. Tidy it up. And right after this dot, we're going to put a light rays. Here, let's get rid of that dot, actually. There you go. So now we've got a light ray. Scale, scale to fit, scale, scale to fit. Thank you. We've got a light ray. So as we get here, right there is where the light ray starts. So let's take a look and see what we have in our settings here. So we got our light ray, and we should have a position at an angle. No, at a position. Let's try at an angle. Would help if I was looking at the right thing. So it's not at an angle. We need to add a location. And with that, what we can do is we can move the position around. I should be able to see the marker though. Maybe only if I put a keyframe. So first things first, let's get it into the right position. So it should be kind of like this. Right, and let's make the length just a little bit longer. Source threshold. Yeah, let's increase the brightness just a little bit, like that. That's perfect. Okay, so go back to where it starts. So it starts right about here. So we're going to put the keyframe here. And then we're going to go right there and move it . Oh my goodness, there are the markers I was looking for. Right there, and let's move this one right here. I don't know why it was there. So that should work much better. Like this. Okay. Looking really good. We'll add a bit of glow to it. The thing is, obviously we don't want it to be visible the whole time, so we're going to come here and we are going to grab our merge and we'll go one frame back, set the blend to 0, one frame forward. Well, maybe not one frame. Right about here. And right here, we're going to put another keyframe and slowly have it fade out over 2-3 frames. So let's see what that looks like. That's looking pretty good to me. And we're almost done. We are almost done. The next bit that we need is the 2 flashes. But maybe we'll do those after we do the glow here. These streaks. Let's do those. Unless I'm mistaken, this is the yellow. Yes, perfect. So what we're going to do is we're just going to grab all of this and move it up a little bit. Give ourselves a bit more room to breathe. Okay. And next, we're going to add some streaks on top of all of this. So this should be my text. But I also want the text and the lines, right? Because I want it to be on top of those. And that's the lines, the text with the lines. Okay, so that's not where we're going to do it. We're going to bring all this back down. What I'm going to do is I'm going to add something over on this side. So I'm going to add a background. And just for a sec, I'm going to put this as the mask to that background. And we're going to make that a yellow. Oh, I need a bitmap first. Bitmap. So we've got our bitmap. Feed that into the bitmap. That will give me... Why am I not seeing anything? Oh, because it's not connected. There we go. Feed that into the bitmap. Wait a minute, what am I doing? That's the wrong one. This is the one I want. There you go. Feed that into the bitmap. That gives me this. That's not at all what I want. Huh. Oh, right. It's not, because the problem that we're having right now is that I'm trying to use the alpha from this, but the problem is we're feeding it a background that's black. So the alpha is was actually like everything is kept because there's pixels everywhere. Now that I've done this and I've made my background transparent, there's only pixels where it's being drawn, so white's being kept, black is being ignored. I bring this in here and then merge that in here. And now we've got just our yellow. And what we're going to do is we're going to add some bars that will only allow it to be happening where this stuff's happening. That makes sense. You'll see in a sec. So, for this to look, though, like it's on a black background, I'm going to put my black background right here. I'm going to put a background node here. I'm going to merge it on top of this. And I'm going to merge all of that on top of the black background. So now I've moved, this is our base canvas, and I'm putting everything above it onto the base canvas and then sending it out to the media out, which will give me what we had originally back. So now, what I need to do is I need to cut out strips out of this and animate them. Well, let's try this first. I'm going to add a rectangle here. And what I'm going to do... No, we're not going to do this. I'm going to run this in here. And then we're going to limit it by that. Aha! There we go. There we go. So what I'm doing is I'm taking all of this, I'm taking the alpha of this, and masking out this rectangle, using that shape. So this rectangle will only be drawn where there's text. So now what I want to do is I want to resize this rectangle. Like this. And let's take a look and see what that looks like at the bottom. So technically, there should be only a bar, right? Like that. So this is what we want. This is exactly what we wanted. Now what I can do is I can soft edge it a little bit. Make it maybe a little bit thinner. And angle it a little bit. And what we're going to do is we're going to animate this so it passes over, so it gives us that that look of this over here. Right? These bars. So let's do that. I'm gonna come back here. And this bar is going to start way over here. And it's going to end its time at the end over here. Maybe I'll make it a little bit thicker. Like that. That's the first one. I'm gonna copy this. Oh, did I put keyframes? No, I didn't. So let's do that. So it's going to finish in this position. So let's put a keyframe on the center. Let's go. It's going to finish on this position. Like that. Keyframe. Go back to the first keyframe and put it at its start position. Let's see what that happens. Now, you'll notice that it's a bit too bright, right? It doesn't really look like a glow, like a shimmer. So what we're going to do is we're just going to reduce the opacity of this, I think, a little bit. No, not like that. So we're going to go to this merge and just reduce the blend down a little bit. Just like that. Yeah. Right, so let's do that. What's that? 0.488. 0.488. There we go. Actually, I can just get rid of this one. No, I need it. Because eventually, right about here, I'm going to reduce its alpha to 0. So I'm going to put a keyframe and 0. So actually I can go and delete that middle one here, remove it. So what's that going to look like? And then it removes it during the flash. Perfect. Now I just need to make a couple of more rectangles. So now they're all going to the same position. And that's not exactly what we want. So I'm going to adjust them a little bit. Like this. Did I not move this one? Okay, there we go. This one's moved. Let's move that one. Let's move that one. And finally, let's move that one like over here. All right. And you're probably thinking, well, that doesn't make any sense. They're all going to move in at the same time. And that doesn't look at all like that. Well, you're right. But I can come over here to my keyframes. Let's get rid of that bitmap. And choose all of these. And then adjust their keyframes. So this is the first one. This should be the second one. So I'm just gonna adjust it like that, and then I'm gonna grab this next one. And now let's see what that looks like. Let's go back here, remove keyframes. Bring these out a bit. So I need to move them all before it gets to that keyframe. And I need to move them a little bit faster, because at this keyframe, or right here is where it all disappears. I think that'll work well. Let's go and take a look. That looked pretty good to me. And because right about here, we're going to make it glow out so we won't even see this. That's perfect. And then we merge back into that. Now, I do wonder, why do I not see my lines anymore? Or am I not looking at the right thing? Let's take a look. No, they're not there. Okay, what did I do wrong? This should be it, right? No, it's not it. Where did my lines go? So if I remove this entirely and I bring this back in, where did my lines go? Okay, so here are my S-renders. Okay, that's the text. These are my lines. My outline, render, fast noise, background. Glow, directional. Oh, did I remove the line? Here. We do this. There you go. But I want this to be before that. So if I bring this in here, I must have deleted the... Let me try something here. So if I bring this in here, that into the green one, and then this here, and this there. Yeah, I think I accidentally deleted a merge, which is problematic. There you go. So now I need to fix that. Perfect, we're back. Okay, so I had accidentally deleted something. So now we've got our yellow bars passing on in front. The last thing we need to do is really just our two blowouts. So let's right click, scale to fit. We can come here and it starts right there. So how are we going to do that? Well, how are we going to do that? I think I'm going to grab... Yeah, I think I'm going to grab this again. And we're going to put a merge here. And I am going to take a background. I'll make it white. We're going to bring this into the background, bring it in here. I hate having crossing lines like this. I try to avoid it as much as possible. Here you go, that's better. Like this. Give myself a bit of room to work. And we are going to add a glow. maybe a little bit less. Why is this glow not working? What does this merge look like? Okay, let's see. So we need this glow to appear. It's doing a pretty good job on its own. And then disappear right about there. So if I do this, and I set the blend on the merge, and then I go a couple of steps forward, like that. Okay, and that was pretty good, but I'm going to move this around a little bit so that we've got a bit more room to work. Like this. Bring that over here. Background, glow. We're going to add a little bit of directional glow in two directions, I think. So directional blur, this one. We're going to go stylistic. There we go. And why is my media out broken? Okay, and it looks like DaVinci Resolve just had a bit of a brain fart. It's working perfectly fine now. So let's take a look and see what we've got up to now. Okay, that directional blur might have been a little intense. So let's lower that down a bit, because if we compare it to the original media in, see, we've got a little bit, not that much. So we're going to grab this directional blur and just lower that strength down a little bit. I wish I could lower the blend. There you go. Lower the blend just a little bit. It's looking pretty good. What else? I'm going to try to add, let's say, a prismatic blur. Prism blur. Let's see what that'll give us. Let's take out the directional blur and see, and the glow. Let's just take a look at the prismatic blur. Yeah, there's no color, so it's not really doing much. Let's take it out. Bring that back, perfect. All right, let's take a look at our current effect. And then right about here, it starts doing it again. So what we're going to do is we're going to come here to our blend, go a couple of frames back, and set a keyframe. Right here, that's the brightest it's going to get, so we're going to bring this back like this. And then take it all out. We're getting pretty close. Really, the only thing that's left is this cool little square pattern on everything. You see it? What we're going to do is we're going to try to mimic it. So the way we're going to do that is, where would we put that? Right here. So we merge all of this on top of this black background. So if we put a mask on the merge, it will mask everything that's being put on the black background, but not the black background itself. So I'm going to show you a cool little trick. I think I might have already shown it in another video. First things first, I'm going to bring down a background. I'm also going to bring down a rectangle. The background, I'm going to go to Image, and I'm going to remove auto resolution, and I'm going to put it, I don't know, 1920 by 1920, so it's a square. So when we look at this, it'll look like this. It's a square. I'm going to mask that square, and I'm going to get really close to the side. So let's say 0.75 maybe, and 0.75. Now, if I bring this in, let's take a look and see what the alpha of this is. It'll only keep what's in the middle, and it'll reject things that are on the side. Now, the text is currently in the middle, but if I bring this down, if I give it to transform, rather, sorry. I'm going to bring a transform in right here, and if I resize it, you see it'll start cutting into the edges. It's not exactly what we want, but let's bring this down to a tiny little dot. So if I zoom in, you'll see it's a tiny dot. On my transform, on edges, I can say wrap, and this will basically wrap the shape around. So we'll add one here, I'll add it there, so on and so forth. So it gives us a nice little grid. What does that look like? Well, it looks like this. And that's actually kind of cool, right? But it's not exactly what we're going for. It's a bit too big. But if we keep lowering the size, we'll get smaller and smaller dots, until we get dots like this, which is kind of what we're looking for. I'm going to go back to my rectangle, and I'm just going to soften up the edges just a tiny little bit. And now this is what we've got. Let's compare it to the original. Not that. Media in? Yes. Perfect. Right, so if we take a look, our squares are a little bit more defined. They're more like lines on this one, right? They're not really, you see squares here. So the effect's not exactly the same, but it's kind of the same idea. I'm just going to keep reducing the size of these. Let's see what it looks like on a bigger screen. No, it makes everything a little soft, and let's try it. Maybe if I go back to my rectangle and remove the soft edge. Didn't really help. It's just too small, I think. So if we go 2, yeah, I think that'll be good. A good compromise. Go back to edit, and let's take a look and see what we've got. And I think that's a pretty cool effect. And that's it, really. I think that's all we needed. We've got this really cool effect. What did we learn today? If we go back to it, well, we learned how complicated a node tree can actually get. We learned how not to make a node tree, because this is a mess where if, oh no, yeah, I've got like, no, I don't. Do I have a line going over? No, I don't. I don't have any overlapping lines, amazingly enough. We learned how to use the shape polys, shape merge, shape render, shape outline. What else did we use? Extrude 3D, replace material, transform 3D. render 3D, cameras. What else did we use? That's about it, really. And that's the effect. Could it be done a bit differently? Probably. There's a little bit of chromatic aberration around the edges, you'll notice. We see like this haloing. We could probably add a bit of that to give it... But we're going for the spirit of the old retro title reveals, right? What does it look like if we remove this this effect? Yeah, I think I really like it with the effect, with the dot matrix. But we could also do it differently. So instead of doing a background like this, what we could have done, we could have made this a narrower bar, like this, and given it more of a stripe feel. Like if I take a look at my background now, it looks like this. With the transform, it looks like this. And maybe that's something that you want. So hopefully this kind of a mess of a tutorial was useful to you guys. Let me just bring this back. I prefer the background as a... I prefer it as a dot, 1920. There you go. Hopefully you guys found this interesting and you learned some new techniques and some new tools. And if you would like to see some future tutorials, feel free to leave a note in the comments, and I will see you guys in the next video. Bye-bye.